Hello everyone, my name is Eman Alomar. I am a PhD student at Rochester Institute of Technology, and on behalf of the co-authors Diego, Gia, Mohamed, Ali, and Christian, I will be presenting our work entitled An Exploratory Study on How Software Reuse is Discussed in Stack Overflow. So first, let's see what code reuse means. So code reuse is also called software reuse. This refers to building new software using existing software or software knowledge. So reusable software or reusable software knowledge can also be viewed as reusable assets. These assets can also be viewed as design, requirement specifications, inspection, architecture, etc. The best known reusable asset is source code. Although software reuse has experienced an increased adoption throughout the years with exponentially growing number of available third-party libraries, frameworks, and APIs, little knowledge exists to investigate what aspects of code reuse developers discuss. In this study, we look into bridging this gap by examining Stack Overflow to understand the challenges developers encounter when trying to reuse a code. So when dealing with unexpected coding or design problems, developers typically refer to online forums and ask questions. One of the most used sites where developers converge to ask and answer questions of a multitude of topics related to programming, software engineering, and related area is Stack Overflow. Hence, we select Stack Overflow as a Q&A website for our study. So, the main goal of this work is to obtain and share insight to the software engineering community regarding how software reuse is discussed in practice by analyzing Stack Overflow posts. So to conduct our study, we start with mining process through the Data Explorer web interface. We considered all questions since Stack Overflow creation from August 2018 to December 2019, where we conduct our study. To distinguish reuse questions, we started with using the tags reuse and reusability as they are intuitive. We have avoided using any extra tag, mainly because it has been shown that developers misuse tag as an attempt to increase views, and the large number of tags tend to cause confusion among the posters. And then we did a manual analysis. We included all posts that refer to reuse of a code and reuse of a different resources that are relevant to any of the stages of the software development lifecycle. In addition, we also included questions that were related to general aspects of software usability. We excluded all questions that were not related to the aspect that we mentioned. We also did a manual classification that consists of reading a title, questions, and answer, and comments to classify the post on various aspects, including technology use, programming languages, and category of reuse. We also did some qualitative and quantitative analysis. So, for the first RQ, how challenges are reuse questions to answer? So to answer this RQ, we used web development questions as a baseline to compare our Stack Overflow questions with, because web questions are found to be the most popular questions in Stack Overflow. We randomly selected 1,409 posts from web development in the same period that we selected our reuser questions. So the box plots present the distribution of time to receive an accepted answer for the reuser questions and web questions. We observed that the time needed to mark an answer as accepted for web questions is below 400 minutes, in contrast with the reuser questions, which have a much wider spread and goes up to 800 minutes. And the difference between the two groups is found to be statistically significant. The bar chart shows an average response days for the accepted answer. From the graph, we can see that the year where the response took longer to be posted was in 2016, followed by 2013. So for this RQ, we found that reuser questions take longer to receive an accepted answer when compared to web questions. For the second RQ, what are the most popular technologies discussed? So we perform manual classification. So when performing the manual classification, we noted that a lot of times posters did not tag their questions with all used technologies, or they tag questions with the technologies that had nothing to do with the content of the question. As the tag did not really represent the accurate technology, we manually classify the technology used in terms of programming languages, framework, and environment. So the first part chart shows the top 10 programming languages used when discussing software reuse in Stack Overflow. We can see that the Java was the most used one, followed by JavaScript and C#. This finding suggests a similar list to the ones we can find on different programming languages ranking indexes, where the leading position tend to be occupied by Java, Python, and C in recent years. So the second part chart presents the most used framework when discussing software reuse in Stack Overflow. As can be seen on the graph, the .NET framework or family of frameworks stand as the most mentioned ones, with ASP.NET MVC at the top of the list, followed by ASP.NET and Django. So the third part chart displays the most targeted environment. It shows a great difference between the first and the second place, having web with 442 posts, followed by iOS with 118 posts. So for this RQ, we can say that Java and ASP.NET MVC are the most discussed programming languages and framework. And web development is the most targeted environment. For the third RQ, what is the trend of software user questions since the creation of Stack Overflow? So to assess the evolution of technologies, we consider the top 3 most used programming languages according to our previous finding, or the finding in the previous slide. For the framework, we grouped together the different families of framework belonging to the programming languages associated with the most used framework, resulting in a .NET family, JavaScript framework, and Python framework. Similarly, for the environment, we created the following grouping: web, mobile, and desktop. So this figure shows the temporal trend regarding the number of posts for each year. As can be seen, there is an increasing trend from 2018 to its peak in 2012. From there until 2019, when the data was collected, there has been a decrease in the number of posts, with the exception in 2016, which had the more posts than the previous year. This trend suggests that due to the wide adoption of code reuse and how it's more and more taught as a fundamental programming practice, developers don't need much help to achieve software reuse as compared with the other aspect of software engineering. It's hard to determine the reason for the peak in 2012 because as our complete dataset, it's almost all technology presented an increase in their numbers for this year specifically. But when querying our complete dataset to search for the temporal trend for the usage of the word of the tag iOS, we can see that the number of posts from 2011 to 2012 almost doubled, an increase that was not seen for any of the other consecutive years. This might be in relation to new features released by Apple regarding their development kit in the early months of 2012 or during 2011. So, reuser questions scored their highest trend between 2011 and 2013. For the last RQ, what categories emerge when discussing the software reuse? So for this question, we perform a systematic literature review in order to gather all of the categories reported in the literature. We then did our refinement in order to, by either modifying or adding additional categories. And that's result in the following 9 categories, which include development, third-party libraries, design patterns, refactoring, legacy system wrapping, application product lines, program generators, configurable vertical applications, and general. So this pie chart shows the number of posts associated with each category. As can be seen, development is the most discussed categories in our dataset, with 874 posts. This suggests that achieving a software reuse is relevant within a single project or application. Since reusability is one of the main quality attributes that speed up the development process, and because of this, it's not surprising that the second category with the most posts is about reusing between project or system, as one goal in the industry is always to achieve fast releases of their product. We expected that the third-party library or software categories to be one of the most discussed, as it includes posts regarding the usage of the program libraries and API, which are widely used nowadays in software development. So to conclude, in this study we found that software reuse is in decreasing trend in Stack Overflow, and software reuse has spread to a wide variety of topics. That brings us to the end of the presentation. If you would like to extend or replicate our study, please visit our website. Thank you.